Hey there, and welcome to Not Now in Theaters. My name is Will Turntail, and I'm a writer and film fan from California. On this podcast, I first-time watch cult classics, B-movies, underseen foreign films, and more. Then I have a not-so-serious breakdown of what makes them great or not so great and discuss the movie's lasting influence. My goal here is to introduce you to some less traditional, quote-unquote, classic movies you might like to see, or, if you've already seen it, give you a deeper connection to what's great about it. So for this episode, we're out to Hong Kong for action master John Woo's gunfight and melodrama gangster tale, A Better Tomorrow. The film is a foundation of the, quote, heroic bloodshed genre that would percolate through Hong Kong action films in the late 1980s, and it helped launch actor Chow Yun-fat into worldwide stardom. A quick statement before we begin. Making films is hard, and you have to respect that. This is a fan's blog, so any criticisms are meant to be constructive. Also, my reviews can contain spoilers. I don't know how else to talk about the film in detail without them, so if that bothers you, well, I did warn you. Okay, now on to the show. A Better Tomorrow 1986 review, John Woo, Chow Yun-fat, and the male bonds of heroic bloodshed. A Better Tomorrow launched John Woo's career into the stylistic bullet ballet kinetic filmmaking he's known for. The movie broke Hong Kong's box office record. Its gun-fu, dual-wielding pistol mayhem has been imitated ever since, including films like Desperado or The Matrix and video games like Max Payne. Made on a low budget and released with practically no advertising power, you'd think the film was an indie explosion from a young director. Instead, the source of its originality could be the U-turn it represents in Woo's career. After 10-plus years of directing martial arts films and comedies, Woo was burned out and uninspired, suffering under a lack of creative control. Luckily, legendary director-producer Tsui Hark, Once Upon a Time in China, Iron Monkey, funded Woo's longtime project, A Better Tomorrow. With the freedom to express his ideas, Woo's new filmmaking style flourished and captivated audiences worldwide. But that was the mid-1980s. This is today. So is A Better Tomorrow a good movie? So let me tell you about the plot of A Better Tomorrow. And before I go any further, I am not a first or second language Chinese speaker. I will do my best to pronounce all the names in this episode. Sung Se-ho is a high-ranking member of a Hong Kong triad. With his best friend and enforcer, Mark Lee, they run a successful counterfeiting operation. Meanwhile, Kit, Ho's younger brother, is training at the police academy. In his off hours, Kit courts his girlfriend, Jackie. He is unaware of his brother Ho's life of crime. When Ho's sickly father pleads with him to leave the triad, Ho agrees to stop, but after one last deal in Taiwan. But when a betrayal makes the deal go south, it leads to Ho's imprisonment and his father's death. 3 years later, Ho is released from prison. Determined to change, can he rebuild his life without falling back into the triad? And can his brother Kit, now a police officer working to stop Ho's former associate Xing Dan, forgive and accept him as his brother again? And just taking you through the cast here, Sung Se-ho is played by T. Lung, Mark Lee is played by Chow Yun-fat, Kit is played by Leslie Cheung, Jackie is played by Emily Chiu, Ho and Kit's father is played by Tian Fang, and Xing Dan is played by Waise Li. And you can read the rest of the main cast in the transcript. And if you'd like to see a trailer for the film just to get you into the spirit of what it looks like and kind of the vibes of this movie, you can pause this and do that over on IMDb with the link at this point in the transcript. So let's talk about the good things in this movie. I'll give out some points for what I thought was working well. I'm going to deduct some later for what I don't think was so good, and we'll add them up at the end. The first thing we have to cover is the gun battles. There are 5 action sequences in total, and I really enjoyed them. Realism isn't the game behind them, and that works in the movie's favor since that's the tone of things. For example, the characters definitely take cover, but reloading is optional. They can just keep firing their pistols or machine guns as much as they want to. And characters are like mini-bosses in video games. A gunshot or stab wound is just a ping on their health meter rather than a killing blow. It's more like when your force of will is gone, you're actually dead. You can take a shot to the gut or back or whatever and just keep going if you want to. And luckily, the heroes of the movie have a ton of grit and willpower to do that. But I don't want to imply it's silly or there's some gimmicks here. John Woo action is carefully planned and artistic. It's all about delicate staging. He's got tons of slow motion and close-ups, and he always recognized the way that his characters dispatch someone is more important than how many people they take down. And he's just able to make people look so badass, and that is especially true with Chow Yun-fat. There's a restaurant shootout that is probably the most famous in the movie. It is only a couple minutes long, but stretches time out for effect so that it stays with you. At this point in the movie, Ho gets betrayed, and it leads to him getting arrested. Mark is pissed off about it, so he goes to a restaurant to ambush the guys that did it. Now, due to copyright problems, unfortunately I couldn't find an upload of this clip and put a link in it for you in the transcript. But if you want to search it out on YouTube or elsewhere on your own, I bet it's there. One of the keys to John Woo's slow motion is that it's an odd mix of sound moving at regular speed, but other things in slow motion. And we're going to see a lot of that in the sequence, if you go watch it. So the scene starts by building anticipation. We follow Mark in slow motion. Walking down the restaurant's hall, he is flirting with a girl and being all charming in slow-mo. We cut to a private room, the gangsters laugh, eating and drinking. But we notice that the woman is not the only thing Mark's making a move with here. He's planting loaded pistols in plant pots. We flip back and forth between Mark coming down the hallway and the gangsters enjoying this big meal at a round table in a private room, almost like what I think is hot pot or something. Definitely laughing and not expecting anything. But the playful music that we have heard so far gets cut. And there's all the gangsters sitting around and the wall in the back of the room slowly rolling open to reveal Mark. It's such a moment of anticipation for the audience. We saw Mark plant the guns, if you understand the pun. And Mark hasn't done anything yet in this movie action-wise. So when that wall opens and everything goes silent, it was like a let's go moment for me. So after the wall moves, the gangsters look at Mark for a second with surprise. The head one of them is like, yes? I don't know if you think Mark's works there or what. But instead of saying some one-liner or something, Mark just unleashes. It's a hellish flurry of bullets, blood spouting, and plates bursting into pieces. There's a lot of attention to detail that fills this out. There's debris flying everywhere, and there are slow-motion close-ups of the goons going down to the gunfire with squibs popping off. But you'll notice that things float in and out of regular speed or slow motion. We see the bullets hit the gangster in slow-mo, but we revert to Mark backing out of the room and firing in real time. Somehow this is fluid. Maybe that's where the regular sound comes into it. Out of bullets, Mark leaves. He casually walks down the hall, even fixing the fit of his coat because it wasn't flattering him right. Two gangsters follow him, but he reaches the weapons he left behind in the first of the plant pots and uses them to dispatch the gang members who tried to chase him or the one that comes around the hall, just proving that his pre-planning worked out because, of course it did. There's also a cool theme here for Mark when he's kicked all the asses and popping a match into his mouth, almost like some flute sounds and dragging bass. But that little theme wasn't made for this film. It's part of Peter Gabriel's soundtrack to the film Birdie, a tune called Birdie's Flight, which I actually put a link into the transcript here if you want to hear it. I don't know that they had the copyright to this. I read that it was common for Hong Kong films to lift music from other movies back then. And something significant happens here that I won't give away, only to say that maybe Mark forgot to plan one detail. But when the whole scene is over, I enjoy how the camera glides, fixed forward on the face of the police inspector, which is actually director John Woo in a cameo, at the end of the scene. There's also more slow motion, and it all adds an otherworldly haze to the chaos that just occurred. For the film's final shootout, we get the boat docks finale. It doesn't live up to the precise planning and pizzazz of that restaurant shootout, but it gets an honorable mention. For about 12 minutes, there's a whole bunch of tumbling bodies and exploding barrels, and it's a lot of fun. The thugs seem to aimlessly spread out and take cover, almost like video game NPCs that pop out from a barrel to fire back at you but have no other tactical programming. But it's enjoyable and worth the end of the movie. There's also a sequence where Mark has to shoot his way in and out to steal a piece of blackmail that's nicely planned, but I'll just save spoiling that and you can check it out when you watch this movie. So when you back out from all this and think about what action movies in America were like at the time, there just isn't anything like this that I can reference. This movie came out in 1986, and that's 1 year after Schwarzenegger did Commando, you know? That movie is great in its own way for sure, but it's just about pure body count and shirtless, oily Arnold able to hit the target while the hundreds of soldiers he mows down can't shoot for shit. So I'm gonna have to give the movie 3 points for these gun battles. I think they represent a real light bulb in John Woo's career and created that kind of template that he could follow in films to come. Next, we should talk about the heavy themes here. The blazing action pieces we just talked about take the headlines, but they're only half of the quote heroic bloodshed genre that this film helped pioneer. Though the movie is known as A Better Tomorrow in America, the film is titled True Colors of a Hero. They used marketing materials like this, which you can go use the link in the transcript to see, to entice modern audiences. It looks like a DVD cover, and it has Chow Yun-fat's mark on it with pistols pointing at things. That makes it look like a blast-away film, right? But really, the heart and tone of the film are much more melodramatic, like this original theatrical poster, which I have a link for here in the transcript. It looks like an imported retro album for sale on the streets of San Francisco's Chinatown for $1 or $2. Which may be appropriate, as actor Leslie Cheung, who played Kit, was a famous cantopop singer. For all its violence, the film is a meditation on honor and duty. And boy, oh boy, does it love itself some male bonding. There are scenes where the brothers argue dramatically in the pouring rain. There are long pauses in the edits as Ho looks endearingly at his lost brother Kit or his business partner Mark. At the end of the movie, Mark even stops mid-gunfight to monologue to Kit about the need to forgive Ho for his criminal past and make amends, covered in blood, yet on the brink of tears about it. It is drama that's almost as over the top as the action. And while you'd think it's silly nonsense, the male-on-male platonic romanticism in this context actually works. And to compare this again to Western movies at the time, you would never imagine Van Damme, Seagal, Willis, or Schwarzenegger to cry about something. Maybe Stallone, because he was Rocky and Rambo, but the beefcake and martial arts crew in America was more about one-liners and sarcasm. And while I don't think of the heroic bloodshed male bonding here as homoerotic, I think America would be way too homophobic back in the 80s to make a movie like this. So 2 points for the heroic bloodshed. Next, we gotta talk about how cool Brother Mark is. Burning dollar bills to light his cigarettes, joking about in English, or kicking ass while walking wounded, Chow Yun-fat as Mark is the film's designated badass. And I got links to pictures of all those things at this point in the transcript if you want to see it. His performance here was the first of many Hong Kong action films and John Woo collaborations, and it's fun to see the start of one of the biggest film stars in the world here. He'd had roles in movies and TV before, but not like this character hit people. Mark's character was so popular in China that trench coats became known in colloquial Chinese as, quote, Brother Mark's coat. And the Alain Delon sunglasses that he wore have reportedly sold well overseas ever since this movie. I think it's worth pointing out that few films can pull off a third main character. Most filmmakers stick to protagonists/antagonists and some supporting characters unless the movie is an epic. Usually your third character is a supporting comic relief wingman, a cool sidekick, or a love interest. But at times we really follow Mark. When he seeks revenge for Ho's betrayal or pulls off a heist, it's a lot of screen time just for him. You wouldn't imagine a Bruce Willis or Jason Statham vehicle where somebody else goes out and kicks all the asses. Yet here Mark is the dirty deeds done cheaper of the group, and this different path really does work. So plus 2 points here for Brother Mark. Next up, let's talk about the film's dramatic music. The soundtrack mixes orchestral sounds and synthesizers to great effect. The music captures the broodiness of the film's tone, yet has the pulse of 80s action hurrah. I wish I could link you to all of these songs, but unfortunately I can't find YouTube links or otherwise where I'm confident someone has the copyright. So you'll either have to decide to look them up anyway or just imagine them while I'm talking. The opening titles bring an upbeat poppiness. I don't associate the intriguing ping sounds as the voice of gangster films, but I love them. It's almost like a song to solve math problems to in the 1980s, like someone working something out in their brain. Somehow that's fitting for the melodrama of it all. Ho's theme features a harmonica refrain that echoes constantly throughout the movie, packing it with somber regrets and sentimentality. It has this "ah, damn it" quality that gets to you. To mix things up, there's Killer's theme. It's the drum beat the characters walk into the final shootout to. But if you keep listening to the song, about a minute and change into it, the sound starts rising and getting uplifting. It almost could have made it into a Rocky movie, like a song for Rocky walking down the alley, thinking about how he's going to get straight for Adrian in a gangster life Rocky. And there's the wild card of Mark's theme, an even more upbeat rehash of the opening track. It's more fitting for an 80s rescue or an old disco than a cold-blooded gunman. However, in the film's context, heroism is Mark's game, so crack on theme, crack on. So 2 more points for the tunes. I listen to the soundtrack all the time while I'm writing and absolutely love it. It has a stuck-in-your-head quality, and I recommend checking it out. So while there were a lot of things I liked, there were 2 aspects of this movie I thought could be improved. First, despite the film's bravado and emphasis on drama, its climax and story fell somewhat flat. Vaunted action director Walter Hill said the secret to great fight scenes is caring about the characters and the stakes. I wouldn't say I didn't care, but not as much as I would have liked. And I think where it went wrong was not being able to identify with Ho, Kit, and Mark at the beginning of the film as it was laying out all the characters and arcs. I should mention this may not entirely be the film's fault. A Better Tomorrow is hard to find in America, even on streaming. I watched what I believe to be the Mandarin dubbed version rather than the original Cantonese language version with subtitles. Some lines might have been changed, altering the writing away from more dramatic poignancy, and when dialogue looks dubbed, it can wreck performances and/or story beats. Still, the film's opening could have used a few more minutes with all the players interacting. The movie establishes the bonds for us. Ho razzes his brother at the academy, he meets his girlfriend Jackie, Mark is flashy and doing deals with Ho. But I wanted more. Please show me that chemistry between Kit and Ho before things get messy. So while those males were abandoned, I can't say I was smitten. So let's deduct 3 points. Also, there's a bit of confusion here. The film makes some strange edits. Occasionally we jump from one location to another without a more guided transition to help us get the flow. And maybe I missed it, but sometimes it was like the needed exposition wasn't there. When Ho returns from prison and is reunited with Mark, who is now permanently limping due to his leg injuries, he's been relegated to living in the car park. This is because Mark's status in the triad has been diminished. Still, I thought he had become homeless since he cleaned the windows of Shing's car so that he could toss him dollar bills. Little moments like this dot the film, and while they certainly don't sink it, it made a few plot changes harder for me to follow. So I'll deduct 1 point for the confusion, and only 1 point since maybe this is my issue or the translation. So adding it all up, I've given a total score of 5 arbitrary points for A Better Tomorrow. On my scale of let's not watch, should I watch, or go watch this movie, normally that would landed in the should I watch. But I'm going to give it a go watch, and we'll explain why in a minute here. One of the most influential films in Hong Kong cinema's history, and I'd argue in general cinema history, A Better Tomorrow came into this review with a hype train to contend with. The film is as old as Top Gun, and like that American classic, it's been a launching pad for generations of action filmmakers. Yet while its theatrics are intriguing, its gun battles stylistic and entertaining, I liked it, but didn't enjoy it as much as I had hoped. When the music swoons and the brothers make extended eye contact, when Mark turns from escape to risking everything and rescuing his pals, I didn't feel the emotional tug the film needed to give the moment's gravity because I didn't get into the bonding game. Still, when you think of action movies released in the mid-1980s United States, A Better Tomorrow's style, imitated to praise today, is all the more impressive. While America was pumping out Stallone's Cobra or Schwarzenegger's The Running Man, muscled up machos ready to blast or rip apart everything in sight, there was an elegant pistol-in-hands revolution on the other side of the world. While American action stars' quote, beefcake style is dated today, Woo's evolution is still going strong, and his old films can almost pass for current. So while this film's point score would land it in my should I watch rating, its bold style and unique tone of male bonding through heroic bloodshed gets some off-the-page points, especially when I consider the potential translation issues that affected my watch. I'd call A Better Tomorrow a must-see for action film fans worldwide. So now let's talk more about A Better Tomorrow's legacy. As we've touched on, A Better Tomorrow helped kick off the heroic bloodshed genre, but it did that not just for John Woo, but for other filmmakers. The term itself was coined by Rick Baker in a magazine called Eastern Heroes, and he was referring to both works made by Woo and the very famous and influential director Ringo Lam. More directors got into this genre, though. Baker's definition referred to Hong Kong action films that had lots of gangsters and gunplay and not kung fu. And the themes were not just excuses to blast people, but emotionally gripping. Loyalty, family, and brotherhood are always at work, with the thieves or gangsters in the film actually having strong codes of ethics. The well for all this goes a lot deeper. The action style was imitated heavily in Hong Kong films through the 1980s and in the 1990s in lots of American films. For example, filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez took heavy cues from Woo's films. It also revitalized John Woo's career and style, which has been seen in more action films than I can figure, including movies like The Matrix or John Wick. Chow Yun-fat, who played Brother Mark, had a massive profile after this film. He was cast in a lot more heroic bloodshed movies, earning him the nickname Babyface Killer. But he also worked in a lot of comedies, including 1989's God of Gamblers, which also broke Hong Kong's all-time box office record. He is, of course, Li Mu-bai in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. In total, the actor has appeared in, as of this publication, over 95 films and 25 television series. So this film helped create one of the biggest stars in world cinema. T. Leung, who played older brother Sung Se-ho, had been, before this movie, prominent in the Shaw Brothers films. He was considered one of the best-known actors in wuxia films, which, if you don't know, are the Chinese martial arts in ancient times fantasy movies. It's the genre that John Carpenter made an ode to with the style of Big Trouble in Little China. But in the 1980s, T. Leung had left Shaw Brothers Studios and his career suffered. But John Woo cast a recognizable actor in the role of Sung Se-ho, and the film was a smash, placing him back in the public film-going eye. Leung would go on to play many roles and continue his successful career until what looks like 2019 so far. Most notably to me, he was Jackie Chan's dad in Drunken Master 2. I think it's Wong Kai-ying. Leslie Cheung, who played Kit, was already a big cantopop singing star and actor. And with A Better Tomorrow, his stardom only increased. As one of the most popular entertainers in Hong Kong, he continued acting in many big films, including vaunted director Wong Kar-wai's acclaimed Days of Being Wild. In total, he released 40 albums and appeared in 56 films. And for John Woo, well, you might know a bit about his story. For a few more years, he continued working in Hong Kong. Up next was a sequel, A Better Tomorrow 2, followed by films The Killer, Just Heroes, Bullet in the Head, Once a Thief, and Hard Boiled. And from there, as you may know, it was his transition to Hollywood, where he made films like Van Damme's Hard Target and the Nick Cage Travolta classic Face Off. He went back to China to make ambitious epic movies like Red Cliff and The Crossing, but has come back to American-made for Silent Night and his remake of The Killer. Well, that's all I got. Thank you so much for listening. I hope I persuaded you to check this movie out, or if you've already seen it, brought you a better appreciation for what it did. And if you like this episode, please leave me a review on your favorite podcast platform. Reviews help new shows like mine get discovered, and I would appreciate your taking 1 minute or two to share your thoughts. And if you've seen it, what do you think about A Better Tomorrow? Does it still hold up for you? You can reach out and let me know on Blue Sky using the link in the transcript. You'll find me as Will Turntail, and it's at not-ni-theaters.bsky.social. This podcast episode is a production copyright of Overegged Media, LLC, located in Sacramento, California. Reference photos linked in the transcript are copyrighted by the Internet Movie Database. This review's factual information was gathered through online sources like Wikipedia, IMDb, or interviews. Misrepresentations and errors are possible, but unintentional. The introduction, exit, and additional music in this podcast is all by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com and licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. The names of the songs are Neon Laser Horizon, Voxel Revolution, and Ether Night Club. Goodbye for now.